welcome.
All right.
Welcome, everyone,
We're rolling.
Episode
76.
Episode 95 of the Chill Spot Podcast.
Episode 112.
You know what's crazy about that, Sam?
57.
That is correct.
That might be correct.
I think that's actually the right one. No, 57 was the one about periods.
Okay, so
that was
58.
last week's. We're on 58.
58.
Regardless, you know what's crazy about that, Sam? Like episodes? So we've been doing this podcast for over a year now. And 58 episodes sounds like a lot of episodes, and it is, if you think about it. It's 58 hours of content. In the lifespan of podcasts, though, is like, we're still a
Drop
baby.
in the ocean.
Podcasts are like the fantasy elves of media, where like when you're 50, you're actually still a child.
Yeah.
When you're Joe Rogan and get into the thousands,
Yeah.
now you're an adult podcast.
Now you're a fully grown gnome.
Exactly.
That's all that Joe Rogan is, just
a fully grown gnome.
Fucking fully grown gnome.
Joe Rogan is what happens when you let a toe become sentient.
One of my best friends told me that her brother is a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I've had my suspicions, like I can't lie, I've had my suspicions for the longest time. And, you know, I do the thing, and I am known in my friend group as like the person who will tell you to break up with your boyfriend. Like that's my relationship advice, like 98% of the time, is if you're coming to me for relationship advice, you probably need to break up with your boyfriend.
You're the physical human personification of r/relationships.
And I do mean boyfriend, because none of my friends who are in non-heteronormative relationships have these problems.
Totally.
So like, I am known as a person who, like, if you're a cis straight person and you're coming to me with boyfriend problems, I'm probably just going to tell you to break up with your boyfriend. So I would like to think that I'm pretty good at sniffing out men's bullshit.
You are.
But I doubt my capabilities, because I still want to give people the benefit of the doubt and have them pleasantly surprise me. So I've been reserving my assumptions about this person for a while now.
Right.
But I had my suspicions, and she told me that he like listens to the Joe Rogan podcast like all the fucking time, like blares it, like she hears it.
Oh wow!
From upstairs.
He bumps it in his room.
Yeah, he bumps it in his room.
Like he's like rocking his head to the podcast for some reason.
Yeah, and a slew of other like not super cool kosher things, and I was like, man, I didn't want to be right, but when I'm right, do I ever know when I'm right?
I mean,
like,
Sam,
holy shit, do I ever know when I'm in the presence of a dangerous white boy?
You know,
like,
Sam, I'm gonna lay some truth on you.
It's literally like a spidey sense, like a different set of hairs stands up on end when I know that I'm in the presence of a white boy who listens to the Joe Rogan podcast.
You can smell it on him.
Subscribes to everything that he says.
Absolutely, Sam.
Like, I think all black girls have it, to be honest.
That's fair, because you like I think there's a certain amount of like having your back up against the wall when it comes to being a woman and B, being a black woman.
Yeah.
And like, please tell me if I'm off base here.
No, tell me about myself. I want to know.
Yeah, that's basically the end of it. I agree with what you're saying. Okay. But I'm gonna lay some truth on you, Sam. Mm-hmm. When you pass judgments of folks, I think you can be harsh. Mm-hmm. But you are rarely wrong.
I am so often right.
You are rarely wrong. I am
so often correct.
Can I ask you a question, actually?
Okay.
Has your dude-dar ever been off? Like you really made a bad judgment, and like it was like you were just 100% wrong.
I was wrong about Shirt Boy.
That's right.
I was wrong about Shirt Boy. Now he's one of my best friends.
Yeah, now you can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
And now he works for us, technically.
But that was also rooted in my own bias, right? Like when it's somebody that I don't know or somebody that I don't have like a prior history with or anything like that. Because like my blind hatred for people who I think have done me wrong is just so belligerent that like all reason goes out the window. Whereas like if it's from an outside perspective and I don't have any history with the person, I can really look at their actions and be like, I think you're going down this path and I don't think you're going to like the outcome.
Right.
But if it's someone that I've had a bad time with and don't particularly like very much, I'm like, fuck that guy forever.
I hate him.
Fuck that guy. That guy could be eating crackers and it's wrong. It's not okay.
Oh, he eats saltine crackers.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
Fucking bitch. He probably eats hot fish too.
Oh, gross.
Loser.
I mean, fish can be served hot sometimes, but when you just said that now, like hot fish, I just picture like warm sushi.
No, like So I've been watching. I'm doing some research right now for a one-woman show that I want to write about my experience growing up biracial and sort of coming to terms with that. So I've been watching that show Mixed-ish, which is a spinoff of the show Blackish.
Yeah.
And the character Rainbow, her dad, is white and her mom is black, and they're kind of like new agey, like hippie parents. So in an attempt to subvert the cultural norms, the dad stays at home and the mom is a lawyer and like does all of the work, or is the breadwinner, I should say, because being a stay-at-home parent is work. And so because he's the stay-at-home dad, he's responsible for most of the cooking, but because he's white, he doesn't believe in seasoning. So there was like a scene where they're at the grocery store and like they're with the kid's aunt, the mom's sister, who was black. And the mom's sister is always like walking around with the dad, giving him a hard time, calling him a white piece of shit and like giving him a hard time and shit. So they're at the grocery store and she's like just grabbing all of the seasonings and just like dumping them into the grocery cart. She's like, because you have no seasoning in the house. You need seasoning. And he was like, no, seasoning is for people who like, seasoning is for, what did he say? It's like insecure chefs who aren't confident in their abilities. And you know, the flavor of the meat comes through by itself. Just like stereotypical. I
take offense to that.
Just like stereotypical white boy shit. I mean, it's fictional, right? So like, they really, really lean into it with the dad character. And he's like, like the meat comes out if you cook it correctly. You don't need seasoning. It's flavorful enough on its own.
You guys can't see my face, but I'm making like a what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the aunt is like,
all right, finish that.
The aunt is like, that's bullshit. You need seasoning. You need seasoning. He's like, no. And she's like, all you do is feed my nieces and nephews hot fish. So now I use the term hot fish to describe like unseasoned food.
Okay. I get that it's like a parody of like mixed families, and you want to play up the whiteness of the dad because it makes a good foil, right? I totally get that.
Yeah.
That is a little unrealistic in my opinion. I don't know any white person. I know white people who don't season enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know white people who don't believe in seasoning.
Yeah.
And I'm a white person.
Like dude, like they write the dad character as if he doesn't even believe in like salt and pepper.
Come on.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's so basic.
That's one. Listen, Cam. Like, remember how I told you? Because I tried watching. I'm gonna burp. Hold on. Oh, it's a tiny one.
Let her out.
The gas bubble is there.
Better out than in.
It's out. Cut that part out. That was pointless. But I told you how like when I started watching this show like months ago before I really dedicated myself to it, my issue with the show is that they take the hippie parents and kind of like use it as something to lean on to explain why the kids are a little bit weird and have trouble fitting in, aside from them being half black and half white. And I don't super like that because there's I'll go ahead and call it a stigma. I mean, nobody calls it a stigma, but like I'm calling it a fucking stigma about mixed race kids and how they're always weird because they come from two cultures and they don't really fit in with like one fucking box that makes them weird and nobody really knows what to do with them. And I feel like the show like took that and really ran with it and escalated it when they made the parents, because the premise of Mixed-ish is that, okay, so the character Rainbow in Blackish is like the mom of the family, and then Mixed-ish is about her growing up in the 80s within a mixed race family.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like her story. So it takes place in the past. And her parents, or it starts with like her family moves into the suburbs after living in a hippie commune / cult that gets like busted. So they have to all of a sudden pick up and move to the suburbs in the middle of the 80s.
Like Jonestown shit? Like they were like...
It's funny because there's a part in the first episode where... the kids the kids go to school. They have their first day at normal school.
Right.
And the school is segregated. I mean, like not purposely segregated because it's the 80s, but like the kids are just like sort of naturally separated into like black kids hang out with black kids and white kids hang out with white kids. Mm-hmm. And then these three mixed kids come to the school and they don't know where to go because they're both. So it's like they feel like they have to literally choose a side.
Right.
And in the cafeteria, and Rainbow's little brother and little sister decide, like her little brother Johan hangs out with the black boys and then Santa Monica like hangs out with the little white girls, and Rainbow is like, I don't want to choose. And she has a bad couple of days. She eats lunch in the bathroom for a couple of days. And And she's just having a hard time fitting in. So she decides that she's going to run away. And her dad like comes in and finds her running away. He's like, hey, like, what's going on? She's like, I'm leaving. I heard about a commune in Waco. And I'm just like, I'm going. And it's like, oh shit.
Bullet dodged.
Yeah, it's like a joke that they write.
That's
but yeah,
funny.
so like the premise is that like they're these like hippie parents who like they met while they were going to school while the mom was in law school, and then they decided to like run away together where they could be an interracial couple in peace, and joined a cult where they don't see color and everybody lives together in harmony and cooperatively and like a little tiny village, but then it gets raided and they have to move to the suburbs. And their kids have to deal with like modern America in the 80s for the first time in their lives.
Batshit premise. I thought Mixed was just about like a spinoff of a family member. I didn't realize it was so
like going back because we're on like 3 trains of thought right now. My problem with Mixed Dish when I first encountered it was, why does the family have to be fucking weird? Like,
oh yes,
I already like mixed kids, and this is the thing that they're trying to get across with the whole like hippie family thing, is that people think mixed kids are weird.
Right.
But it's
they're not weird because they're mixed. They're weird because they come from a cult.
It's like both. They're weird. They're seen as weird because they don't know anything about modern day American pop culture, because they've been in a commune off the grid for their entire lives, for the kids' whole lives.
Yeah.
And they're biracial. So they have 2 things going against them. And it's like, people already think mixed kids are weird. Mm-hmm. Did you really have to add new agey hippie bullshit on top of it? Like, why did you escalate the weirdness? Why did you? And it pays off. I've calmed down on this a little bit because it's a writing thing. From a writer's perspective, it's helpful to have that like
a little bit of a crutch.
Not that little like not a gimmick. A gimmick isn't the good word for it, but from a writer's standpoint, it's a good, I guess, characteristic of the family to sort of like round them out as characters and make them a little bit more 3D for them to have like a thing.
Mm-hmm. If they know nothing about the world they inhabit, they'll make discoveries every episode.
And it helps to explain concepts, because your audience doesn't know these characters. So it's a good way to introduce things that you want to explain to the audience if the characters also don't know what's going on.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like there are some aspects of the 80s that like I'm not going to understand because I didn't live through the 80s. Mm-hmm. So it helps me that the kids also don't know what's going on in the world at the time, so that they can explain the zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. And like from a narrative standpoint, it makes sense. But like as a mixed person, I'm like, man, like we're already weird enough. Do you really have to make us weirder?
Well, it seems to me like obviously I'm not mixed, unless you count Irish, Scottish, Italian.
Mm-hmm. I have, which is something that I have like dealt with, by the way.
I'm 3 kinds of white.
I'm like trying to talk about like my mixed heritage, and then someone will chime in and be like, well, I'm technically mixed too because my mom's English and my dad is Scottish. And I'm like, do you mean white and white?
You're both white.
That's not mixed.
But
it's not mixed, Jennifer.
I think what's disappointing about that description you just gave me of mixed-ish, where it's like it doesn't really sound like, it sounds like it sounds like they want their cake and want to eat it. They have their cake and want to eat it, right? Where it's like the concept of mixed-ish, in my opinion, from an outsider perspective, is something.
Seen a single episode.
Of course,
yeah.
Like I'm going off what you told me. I'm just trying to participate in the conversation. Is ideally about the mixed experience, right? Like the idea of being a mixed kid growing up.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's actually not really that, it's more about this wacko setup they have and the way they write that, and then it sort of ends up being about the mixed experience. But it's like, I think that's great and all, but I think that concept is a little too high. Like, it almost seems like they just should be writing a show about a family who escapes a commune.
And like the thing that's sort of calmed me down is that like the longer they're in, mainstream America, the less they lean on the like hippie commune thing. Right. There's still some times where like somebody will make a pop culture reference and like Rainbow doesn't know what that is because, she didn't know about Madonna when Madonna first came out, so like someone has to tell her, someone will make like a Material Girl reference and it just goes over her head and it went over her head. Whereas like the first couple of episodes, it's like they see a toilet for the first time and they're like, holy shit, where does it go? Like,
see, like that to me, that's
I've been pooping in a hole my entire life.
Like, I get it, and that's funny, but at the same time, like, I feel like you could have done that whole thing, like,
It was like, oh, cool. Mixed kids are already weird, and these kids don't know how a toilet works. Great.
It's like the Geico caveman.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, whatever.
I feel like they probably could have, like, and again, I this show is wildly popular and very well liked, and I want to stress that I've never written a TV show before. So all of these, and I've also never seen an episode. I'm just going off what my fucking girlfriend is telling me. But I feel like they could have maybe spun it where it's like, okay, if you cut this like weird hippie commune shit, you're left like, maybe she doesn't know Madonna because her dad is the one who's mostly into music, and he doesn't listen to Madonna because he's white.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too, right? Is that like you cannot know things, and
or the other way around, whatever.
I wish I was a consultant on this show because in my experience, my dad is black. Both of his parents were black. They both since passed away. Like all of his siblings are black. You know, like some of his siblings, some of my aunts and uncles were adopted, but like they're all black.
Yeah,
grew up in Scarborough, like steeped in blackness
for sure.
And yet still, there are stereotypical black things that people would expect my black parent to know and teach me about when it comes to teaching me about my culture that he just doesn't participate in. You know, like, yeah, my dad is black, but he loves hockey. Hockey is his favorite fucking sport. And even then he's subversive because he grew up in Toronto and his favorite team is the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, what the fuck happened there?
He just like is so like he's such an iconoclast when it comes to black culture in a lot of ways, at least like stereotypically speaking. I mean, like I think that my dad is black enough, and I think that
I don't think it's a competition.
Exactly. There's no one way to be black. And just because you like hockey and my dad like loves Kim Mitchell and like, you know.
He's really big on Q107.
Literally, your dad is like the whitest dude.
He's quite white, yeah.
But we both grew up with Q107 in our lives, like on the radio all the time. My dad knew like all the Kim Mitchell, all the April Wine, all the Creedence Clearwater Revival, like taught me about.
Our dads got along. They got along really well,
They got along really well. Yeah. And you know, he knows black stuff too. He taught me about Motown, and I shared my experiences with like Shaft and all that stuff, but he also liked things that would be seen as white. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
You know, so I like
anyway.
In my experience, like I was the weird mixed kid, and you know, I had all of the pop culture, and I grew up in the times that I was supposed to grow up in. But my dad liked a lot of white things, you know, quote unquote white things.
I can't stress. There's nothing wrong with that.
It made it so that when I was the rare times that I was in a situation where I was like surrounded by other black kids my age, I didn't get along with them right off the bat because culturally I didn't have the same experience as them, even though I did have a black dad who was in my life and raised me and like showed me stuff that he was into a lot of white shit. So you know, you don't need the hippie commune thing to have the weird biracial kid.
I forgot how this conversation started. That's
you don't need it. It just like it happens sometimes. So that's why I wish I was a consultant on Mixed Stitch, because it's like you don't need this. Hey, I understand from a narrative standpoint how it's helpful, and it does beget good writing. You know, there's like I am enjoying Mixed Dish.
Yeah, you wouldn't be talking about it right now if you weren't enjoying it.
And I've been doing some research on it. Unfortunately, its future hasn't been decided yet because ABC, in the wake of COVID, didn't renew any of its newer shows. It renewed the obvious mainstays like Grey's Anatomy. Well, it's pillars.
Because Shonda got to make that money.
Well, she will make that money, but everything else is just sort of like on halt. So its future, while it was critically and publicly well received, like its future is unclear just because everybody's future is unclear at ABC right now who's not fucking Grey's Anatomy.
It'll be fine.
I mean, like it has like 21 episodes, you know, like obviously like they had the first few episodes and then ABC ordered more, so that's a good sign. But I have been enjoying it, and other people have been enjoying it too. It's a good show. It's just that part.
Well, I've seen a few episodes of Blackish.
I wish you didn't have to make the biracial family like weirder than it already is to like be biracial. It's already, and I can say this through my research and just through like my own personal experience, it is already weird enough. Yeah. It is weird enough, you know? So.
Well, you said you've been making some breakthroughs and discoveries recently. Did you want to share any with the folks at home?
I guess, because I don't want to be like, no.
Shut up. It's mine.
Shut up. It's mine.
My mixed dish.
No, but it's just been like, I've been spending a lot of time for the first time in my life really consciously thinking about how I feel about my racial identity.
Yeah, really giving it some deep thought.
Yeah, I've had my hard times with it in my life, just living, but for the first time in my life, I've really been like hunkering down and being like, okay, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this experience? I had this thing happen to me and I felt weird about it at the time, but I didn't really have the vocabulary to say it. So like, let's talk about that. Let's get me some vocabulary right now. And it's been really like eye-opening and like really rewarding. And I found this comic that has just sort of been like my guiding light through all of this when it comes to how I look at my life experiences. It's called Papiti. It was written by, I want to give the author credit because she did a really good job, and she's now she did it when she was in animation school, and she's now I think a storyboarder at Disney or some crazy shit like that.
Dope.
So good for her. But it's about, she wrote it about her. What the fuck is going on with your phone, mate?
What?
Like, who's texting you so much?
It's just notifications.
Oh my God, you're getting like a million a minute.
Here, I'll turn my vibration off.
Kiana Consmith wrote this comic called Papiti about a kid that's half dog and half cat.
Yeah, that's right.
To sort of like illustrate the multiracial experience for herself. And there's this one panel.
It kind of gave you a new perspective.
That gave me a really new perspective. Yeah, it's like multiple races can also mean multiple cultures and traditions. Some tend to make assumptions about one's race when an aspect of a certain culture is expressed, and it shows like Papiti up in a tree, and a bunch of dogs are like, "Oh wow, you climbed that tree so well," and she's like, "Well, like I'm half cat," and they're like, "Oh, okay, so you're a cat," and she's like, "Well, no, I'm half dog too." Like she's talking to the dogs. And they're like, "But you climbed the tree, so you're a cat." And she's like, "Well, no, I'm also part dog." And they're like, "But you climbed the tree, so you're a cat." And like, that's my whole life, where it's like, I would do something that I would express myself in a way that seemed like stereotypically black. And they'd be like, my friends would be like, "Oh, you're so black, Sam. You're so black. You're so black. You're so black." But then, you know, I would come to school in like my Fall Out Boy sweater, and everybody knew that I had a huge crush on Pete Wentz, and who is multiracial, by the way. And
oh, really?
Yeah, his mom is biracial, I think.
Wow. We love a mixed king.
And, you know, so like I would do one thing and they'd be like, "Okay, so you're black." And then it'd be like, I mean, like, I guess. And then I would do something else that was stereotypically white, and they'd be like, "Oh, so you're like actually like white on the inside." I'm like, "No, I'm both." Well, like stop putting me into one box when I do one thing and then moving me into the other box. It's like I have a leg in both boxes.
Nothing is a binary in life.
And people don't seem to like that I can be in both boxes at the same time.
Yeah.
So I thought that because people didn't like it, that I had to decide, and I had to really settle, and I had to figure it out. And I spent pretty much my entire life up until this very moment trying to get myself into one box and like decide. But it always got to the point where I would be like, okay, I know I'm biracial, but I'm black. You know, like I have this hair, I have brown skin. I spend a lot of my time like consuming black culture, and I find myself enjoying that more than like whatever white culture is.
White culture is mostly just like mainstream media.
I mean like because of white supremacy, like it's just sort of like what it's all around us, you know? Like I don't really know how to engage with my white side when it's just it's so easy to.
White culture is not really a thing.
Yeah, because of white supremacy. It's just like the norm.
The prevalent culture could be described as white culture.
Yeah.
But now again, like I'm gonna let you finish your point, of course. But like due to the fact that media is trying to become more diverse,
yeah,
which is like in my opinion has done nothing but benefit media and storytelling, especially the stuff that I love, like animation. Like animation has been doubly improved by perspectives of women and people of color and, you know, BIPOC folks. Like it's amazing. You were saying.
So yeah, like I had such a hard time trying to like fit into one box. I'd be like, why can't I? Like I'm like I felt like I was shoving myself into one box. I'd be like, why aren't I fitting? Why aren't I fitting? Why aren't I fitting? It's because I fit in 2 boxes at the same time. You know, it's more like I have to kind of Mod Podge them together to form my own box to fit. And at first I thought that was a bad thing, but I've sort of found that it's like honestly one of the best things about me, and it influences my life in so many positive ways if I could just see it as a positive thing.
It's a superpower.
And realizing that it was that this thing that I thought was negative about me is actually one of the best things about me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Is like a superpower, is like a weight off of my shoulders, and it feels so good.
Well, that makes me really happy to hear.
So that was my sort of like realization for the week.
You had an epiphany.
My breakthrough for the week is that it's like actually a good thing that I can do both. And actually, it's everybody else's problem that they want me to fit into one box and are mad that I kind of like have two, like 1 foot in one and 1 foot in the other.
Hell yeah, man.
It's like actually okay for me to claim and take up that much space. It's okay.
Plenty of room.
I can do that. It doesn't matter if there's plenty of room or not. I fit there, and everybody else is just gonna have to go around me because
there you go.
Like I simply do not fit into one box. I have to break
Stake
out
your
into.
claim.
I have to break out into more than one.
Plant your flag, baby.
And like every biracial kid should. You know,
Yeah.
It really is both. And one of the beautiful things that I'm loving about Mixed-ish, and it's just so. It is so serendipitous that I'm noticing this in the show as I'm like coming to terms with this in my real life, is that so at the beginning of the show, there's a white girl that Rainbow kind of wants to be friends with, and there's a black girl that Rainbow kind of wants to be friends with, and they both reject her at the very beginning because she's mixed, and to the white girl she's always black, and to the black girl she's always white.
Right.
But as the show goes on, they share space together. The most recent episode that I just watched, Rainbow's dad, who like, it's funny because like Rainbow's dad, who is white, actually like marched with Dr. King. It's like a
wow.
thing that like
That's
back in his day, he took part in the March on Washington and actually like knew Dr. King personally. And he's like always, the thing is that he's always telling the story about how he played handball with Dr. King. And they're like, we know, Dad, you played handball with Dr. King. Oh, God.
I mean,
stop talking about it.
That would be in my Twitter bio.
Yeah.
Bro. Are you kidding me? I'd say that to everybody.
Yeah, like this white man like really like wears it as a badge of honor. But her dad is like coming to school because like in the the Dr. King Day or Martin Luther King Day was like indoctrinated in the 80s.
Yeah.
So there's an episode where like they're about to have the first Martin Luther King Day ever in history after it was put into law, and Rainbow's dad is going to come speak at the school about it, and the kids are like, you can't let your dad speak at the school, it's social suicide, it's embarrassing. And as Rainbow's like turning to her friends to ask what she should do, the white girl and the black girl and the Latina girl that she befriended on her first day of school because she ate lunch in the bathroom also, all weigh in, and they all hang out with her together, and it's like that becomes her circle of friends. And
that's so rad.
And you know, like that's my jam, right? Like people think that for years people were like, well, are you black or are you white? Do you hang out with black people or do you hang out with white people? It's like I hang out with both and all at the same time, and you cannot make me choose. And if you are going to be in my circle, you're gonna have to get down with this like patchwork of people that I know and am friends with and love on multiple levels. Like that's just the thing of the thing. Your life may be uniformity because you're monoracial. My life is multiracial, so my life looks multiracial.
For sure.
Get used to it. Get used to it. That's the way it fucking works. You tell me that I can't choose both, but actually, like, I can and I will, and you will have to deal with it. Sorry. My life works different than yours. It will not look the same.
That's fine,
because
man.
I'm different, and you know, I don't have to do what you think is the right thing for me to do. Black people can't tell me how to be black. White people can't tell me how to be white because I'm biracial and I can only decide for myself.
Well, there you go, man.
And it's just so wild to me because like it's been something that I was told my whole life, and I feel like an idiot for being like, for my big breakthrough is this thing that people have been telling me my entire life. But I really did have to like go out and take the time and think about it for myself and decide for myself and really assert myself and say like, no, like this is what my life looks like for me, Sam Mercury, alone. So that was really helpful.
I think
I've never asserted myself, and I've said this before. Like I've been a huge people pleaser my whole life, and it's really inhibited me because when you spend all of your time trying to make everybody else happy, you forget to make yourself happy
naturally.
Like I have grown up not making space for myself, but
making space for others.
But making space for others and their comfort, and just like taking that for myself has just been like really, really freeing and good. It feels good.
I think you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Perfectly honest with you, man.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. It feels great.
Not too many people have those kind of epiphanies, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people live in the anxiety that you were living in.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're quite out of the woods. You know, no one gets over anything in a year. You're not going to get over 26 years of racial tension.
Because like I came to this realization by myself, right? I didn't have a moment where I had to stand up to a physical person.
Yeah.
And say like, no, I'm this. If your piece of shit cousin calls me a African again, I don't know if I'm gonna stand up to him because that's a real life situation where, you know, like walking the walk is a scary thing to do, but you know, I know it for myself, and that's huge. I'm gonna sneeze.
Jesus, you're burping, sneezing.
I got a lot of fluids. I have to pee too, so just get used to that.
There's lots of fluids coming.
But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see when the day comes when somebody actually has to challenge me on my identity if I walk the walk. But I know, and that's huge.
That's great, baby.
And I'll just hang on to that for a little bit.
Well, I'm also just glad to hear that you had a creative breakthrough. You know, like obviously I'm not gonna air out this on the podcast or nothing, but like, I think that you've been having a bit of a hard time when it comes to expressing yourself creatively, and I think that this epiphany,
a lot of dicking around, not getting a lot of work done.
A lot of writer's block. Hey, no, it's called writer's block, right? Like, listen, you call it dicking around, but legit, like
writer's block leads to dicking around.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
being blocked is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, it happens to every writer.
Yeah,
you know. But like I said yesterday, I'll reiterate for everyone at home. Like, you came out on the other side, which is a lot more than a lot of writers do.
Well, I can't. Yeah, it's sort of like
don't diminish. You came out on the other side.
When you walk through one door, you're met with another closed door that you have to figure out how to open.
But that closed door is at the end of a long ass hallway. You got a long way to walk.
Yeah. I got through the one closed door, so
you know,
getting through one closed door makes me feel confident about getting to the next closed door.
Every game's got a level 1, baby.
Exactly.
You gotta start somewhere.
Exactly.
You know what?
So yeah.
So you should be happy.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're happy. As your partner.
Feels good.
As your podcast host friend.
Feels good.
It's good.
Feels good.
You know what I don't get about the whole like choosing a side thing? Like, and not that I don't understand. It's more like from like the people who really have a hard time grasping this. I don't get the idea of it being binary. Of it being like, no, if you're not black, you're white. If you're not white, you're black. You pick a side. There's no in between. But like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Nothing in life is a binary, as we've been learning. Like you know what I mean? Like even like the gender binary is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know. Well,
that's my thing too, right? And that like, this is the thing that I was struggling with. Because, okay, so like, I'll just say like, while I'm light skinned, I am obviously not white. I'm not like logic biracial where it's just like he passes. I don't pass.
You don't pass white. Yeah.
I don't look. You know, I'm not fucking like Mahershala Ali black, but no. I do come off as not white. So.
But you're visibly not white.
So, in the effort to make me choose, a lot of people just leaned towards blackness, which is fine with me because I think being black is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah,
and dope. And I am sort of like coming to the realization. I read in my research. I also came across someone who described themselves as black and biracial, and in that order, like specifically. And I kind of like, I feel that way too, for sure, because that's how the world treats me.
Right.
But where was I going with this? Boxes, right. In choosing to identify as black and biracial, there's the pressure then to do and want to partake in like stereotypical black things. And I think about certain things that I can't do, like I can't dance. You know, like I'm not a very good dancer, so I feel less black because of it. But it's like, you're not less black because you don't or can't do stereotypical black
I think
things,
there's lots of black folks who can't dance.
And I think about like early Donald Glover days where he was like super nerdy and like wearing tight t-shirts and like black rimmed glasses and, you know, talking about comics and shit, or at least that's what people put on him. And I just think like, what is acting black, guys? Like, did we decide? Like, I don't think
there's no answer for that.
I thought the beauty of blackness is that it's a myriad of things, you know? So, like, just because I don't, what's it called?
Fit?
Just because I can't dance, just because you
can't sing.
I don't know how to make jerk chicken like the authentic way. All I know is how to buy like the sauce and the seasoning and put it on chicken and marinate it and like cook it in the oven.
Something
you know,
learn,
like
though.
it's not authentic. Just because I don't know, I don't know how to braid hair, you know, like doesn't mean that I'm less black. There are black people all over the place who are very black but don't know how to do these like stereotypical black things or have had these experiences. You know, I didn't spend my Saturdays in the salon. I've never had a hot comb taken to my hair, you know, like I just because I didn't have those experiences doesn't mean I'm any less black. Like,
no, certainly not.
And it's just it's so frustrating to try and like access that part of yourself and really validate it within yourself when people are like, oh, well, you didn't do X, so you're not black. What kind of a black person has never done Y, Z, A, B, C, D? You know, it's like me, bitch. Like
right. Yeah.
Me, black person, right here. I haven't done those things. Still black. Still very much black. It's just hard. It's hard to have. And then, you know, like I say that I'm black, but then they're like, oh, well, you're mixed then, so it makes sense. And it's like, no, shut the fuck up. Like,
right.
Stop.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question then. I'm going to ask you a question that'll probably take us to the end of the podcast. Do you think that there is gatekeeping in blackness?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Elaborate. Go ahead.
I don't want to get in trouble.
No, come on. BPT's not gonna. Those bastards over at Chill Spot.
Yes, they will. They're so fucking mean sometimes. Black people can be just mean. And it sucks because like the meanness has legs to stand on when you've been treated like shit since we landed here.
Yeah.
You can't be mad at it. But yeah, no, like BPT has a large hand to play in it, you know?
Talking about black people Twitter, by the way. That's what BPT means.
Yes. Yeah. It's the sort of homogenous, like...
hive mind?
Yeah. It's the hive...
It's what it is.
It's the hive mind that gathers around topics pertaining to black people on Twitter specifically. No one person. There isn't a BPT Twitter account or anything like that. It's just
There's a subreddit, though.
It's just to describe the gatherings of black people on Twitter when talking about topics pertaining to the black experience, usually in North America, but like in recent years, you know, like Africa and South Asia and stuff like that has and South America has gathered to when it's applicable. But gatekeeping, yeah. I think in an attempt to, especially in light of all of the shit that black people have been going through. I mean, for since the dawn of time, but it's only been magnified more with like social media and globalization. Now, you know, we can record this stuff as it happens and have proof of it.
Totally.
In the conversation of what black people go through, there are some people who feel that they are more black than others because they have experienced a more stereotypically black experience. Okay. You know, like they've been called the N-word at some point in their life. They have barbecues on weekends, you know. They've done the electric slide at every single family function, and that makes them blacker than you because I haven't done that with my family. My family doesn't do that. Just certain stereotypical experiences. And the more stereotypical experience you've gathered, the more like legit you are and the more able you are to say that people who haven't done that are less black than you.
Right.
And they won't say it outright. You know, it's not like there's somebody on Twitter right now saying like, you are not as black as I am because I have done this and you have not done this thing that is stereotypically black. But you get bullied a little bit and you get you get spoken down to if you don't know what is deemed as like certain basic black things. If you don't know about them.
Like a black common knowledge.
If you don't know about them, or if you can't do them, or if you didn't get to partake in them in your lifetime, you're viewed as less black, and you can tell by the way that people talk to you or don't talk to you, because sometimes people will simply just lock you out. Hence the term gatekeeper. And it's just sort of hard because, you know, a lot of black leaders will tell you, like, there's no one way to be black.
Of course,
we're a beautiful, beautiful rainbow of different experiences, and it all has to do with like region and life experience and access and all of these different things. So you're like, great, I can be whatever I want to be while being black, and that's valid. And then somebody comes in and is like, if you didn't grow up, you know, getting your scalp burned off by a perm every week, then I don't know if you're really black. And it's like, well, I didn't. What the fuck?
Right.
What the fuck? I thought it didn't matter. Like, what the fuck? And it's just this constant. Twitter is especially bad for this.
Well, yeah.
It's just like hypocrisy upon hypocrisy upon hypocrisy, with one person telling you that you are black enough and another person telling you that you aren't black enough because of one very, very superficial thing. As superficial as like a dance move or a hairstyle or
something you can do,
you know, like knowing everything about a certain musical legend or something like that. And it's like, what the like I don't you know, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how to validate myself. I don't know what to tell myself as I struggle to figure out who I am, because I don't have so many of these black experiences, these stereotypical black experiences. But I'm also being told that despite all of that, I'm still black. And it's like, well, what's the truth?
Right.
What's the truth?
Tell the truth.
But, you know, my recent realization is that there is no truth. Right. It literally is just how I make it. And I have to say, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about what anybody says, whether it is hurtful to me or validating to me in some way. I don't give a fuck about anything, the positive or the negative. This is me, Sam, black person, black and biracial, in that order. This is my experience, and I'm still black because of all of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't care if you hate it. You know, I don't care.
You shouldn't care.
You know, and my experience is me saying that actually is a good thing, because there's probably somebody else out there like me feeling the exact same way, and me saying, yeah, like, I have never experienced like the burn of a perm, and, you know, my mom, I didn't cry when my mom like burned my scalp off with a hot comb, and, you know, I didn't grow up with a dad who like blasted the Isley Brothers every Saturday morning, and I knew that I had to clean that entire day. You know, like, just because I didn't have these experiences doesn't mean that I'm any less black. And if you think that it does make me less black, well, that's just too fucking bad. I'm still black, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
And stay mad about it.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
Sounds like a them problem.
It's happening. It's out of your control. You think that you control it, but you don't. I'm here and I'm black, and, you know, like, sorry, not sorry about it.
Deal with it.
You know,
you shouldn't have to be sorry about it.
With my experiences. It doesn't make me more white. It doesn't make me less black. It doesn't make me more black than anybody else. It just makes me black. This is my black experience. And it's different from yours. That's all it is.
Yeah, totally.
That's all it is.
I see. It's funny, right? You made a comment at the start of this that you get the reaction, and I get it too, right? The idea of being like protective of your heritage, protective of blackness.
Yeah,
like, I get
like,
it.
of all the adversity that black people have faced, like, we looked to these universal experiences to find community and safety within each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I get it. I
100%.
get it. But I just don't think there's room for that anymore.
Well, especially as, like, not for anything, but like as...
I think the more we embrace how different we all are, the more beauty and strength we'll find.
Well, that's also, like, not for anything, but as the world gets more modern, like, BIPOC people be fucking white people. Like, there's gonna be a lot of mixed folks,
and Latinx people, and Asian people, and or I should get more specific. Japanese people, Korean people, Chinese people, Thai people, Filipino people, Vietnamese people, Indian people, Indonesian people. You know, like
we all be fucking white people.
They are Australian people. Like we all be around. You know, and
mixed people is gonna be. I think at one point. Like mixed is just going to be everyone's going to be mixed.
Well, I don't know about that, and I don't encourage or discourage that. I don't like the idea that like, oh, one day we're all just going to be like one people. No, I think that.
Well, no, there's going to be different cultures forever.
I think that it's just as much as people are always going to mate outside of their culture, just as many people are going to stay within their culture, and it has nothing to do with like wanting to go out or wanting to stay in. It's just love.
Well, there's going to be what I meant is that
like love's just love, and you're gonna fall in love with who you fall in love with, and there's a million different factors that determine this, like region and access and resources and like time periods and whatnot. Whether we stay more within our own communities, like right now when we're like socially distancing and isolating versus like beforehand when we were like traveling all over the place all the time. There's a million different factors. So I really don't think we're gonna have this like caramel colored world that like hippies are like, again, like race isn't gonna matter because we're just gonna mix. Not what I was
trying to say at all.
Enough one day. But like mixed people aren't going away.
No, what I meant is there's going to be an abundance of mixed people. They're going to be like half the population even.
I think there always has been. Yeah. And it just hasn't been talked about because we've been too busy
picking a side.
Ostracizing them.
Too many people, too many mixed folks who look a certain way are being forced into boxes, like you just said.
Yeah. I mean, look at Obama, right? Like Obama is mixed. Like he's biracial. But he spent his entire presidency, like he had to decide for the sake of the image and the position that he held, right?
The culture, yeah.
Shit like that happens and is going to continue to happen. But as long as the individuals are okay with however they choose to define themselves, it continues to be their choice. And
totally.
Absolutely no fucking body else's. So shut the fuck up. Honestly. Just fuck off. Fuck everybody for putting me through that.
Yeah, really.
Like I came out on the other side and I kind of like looked back at everything that I had been through and I was like, what the fuck did you just make me do for the past 26 years? Fuck all of that.
Right.
What the fuck, man? Yeah, I came out on the other side, but like that was some ass that y'all made me go through. Yeah, that was some doo-doo.
You had a quarter life crisis just now.
Yeah.
You're on the other side.
Yeah. Part of it is just like part of me coming into my identity is just outright defiance. Just like, fuck this, man. Like, nobody else's opinion matters anymore. I am officially shutting you all out when it comes to my identity. It's for me and me to decide alone, because it is simply too confusing to try and satisfy everybody else. Because just when I think I've satisfied all the people around me, some new fucking person comes in and just like rips apart all of the work that I just did to try and fit myself into a box. So guess what? I exist in both.
Right.
Fuck you. Just shut the fuck up. You know? Well, I don't care. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Fuck it, man. Just stop reading Twitter. Like, dude, these people, like we say this. We say this time and time again, and I'll reiterate. It's like a lot of people on Twitter are just friggin' dudes and people.
Yeah.
Like these people aren't qualified. Yeah. Like, yeah, sure, they have their own personal experiences, and that's about as valid as it gets. But I also think that if I could be so bold, I think that, and this happens to everyone who like reads social media all the time. Like we're on social media a lot, as much as we hate it. There's a lot of internalizing that happens on social media, whether you like it or not.
It's a lot of hurt people speaking out and saying hurtful things because they are hurt at that point.
And that's okay for them, but I think that
fine, express yourself.
But there's people like you who are empaths who feel everything all the time, and I think that sometimes you read stuff on Twitter and it can kind of get to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it happens to me too.
But that's just it, is that like these hurt people in their pain are trying to hurt other people outside of themselves to validate their own hurt.
Right.
And like what they're going through. So as to not be alone in that.
It's the like, I've suffered, so others should suffer.
Yeah.
Mentality.
So other people have to drag me down with them. And it's like, no, I'm on my own path. You have your own shit to deal with. Deal with your own shit. I'm not concerning myself with the vile that you espouse because you're hurt right now. You know, that's for you to deal with. And I wish you all the luck on your journey with your pain. And I hope that you find peace with that one day.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I'm simply not making that my problem anymore.
It shouldn't be a problem.
You know,
I totally agree.
You know, I also acknowledge in my accepting of who I am, that like things like colorism is a thing and I have certain privileges that go with that. And like, yeah, there is some bullshit going on with like light-skinned people in the media right now. And that's absolutely correct.
But you're acknowledging it, and that's a part of the battle.
I found this like, and I saved it. I mean, I feel kind of bad about saving it because it falls under the like vitriol heading. That's not productive for me to keep. It's not productive energy to keep around me at the time. But it's helpful to my research and helps me elaborate on some thoughts that I want to make in the show. But I came across a thread that somebody made about instances in which Hollywood decided to cast a biracial black person in a role.
I saw that article.
Over a dark-skinned black woman, where the character originally was a dark-skinned black woman, but they lightened the character,
make them more
so as
crossover.
to appeal to audiences more, and that's a real thing that happens, and it's fucking bullshit.
It happens a lot, actually.
But the problem with that thread is that they were saying, so for example, there was a controversial show on Netflix called Raising Dion, where initial promo for the show featured a dark-skinned black boy with superpowers and a dark-skinned mother, and everyone was like, this is great, like this never happens, you don't see dark-skinned women in roles like this on TV anymore. And then it finally came out, and the dark-skinned mom had been replaced by a light-skinned woman, a biracial woman. And
is there like a story? Is there a reason why?
I haven't looked into it, to be honest. I don't know if maybe something happened with the actress.
Well, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I don't know if they like lightened her on purpose or if it
was.
Just
it blows they couldn't find. It blows they couldn't find another dark skinned woman.
Yeah, but in talking about what happened, they said they replaced the black woman with a biracial woman.
Right.
And my issue with that is that biracial woman is still a black woman.
Right.
Yes, colorism took place there, and that's fucked up, and that shouldn't have ever happened. Right. And it happens in Hollywood all the time, and it's annoying. But the nuance that this conversation needs is that black women are still getting hired in these roles. Okay,
still a victory.
When Janet Hubert Whitten was replaced by, I forget the name of the light-skinned actress who replaced her as Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but when she was replaced by another black woman, a lighter-skinned black woman, and that has its issues, but you need to start calling these women black women because they are black. And when you say that they're not, it's problematic.
Is it kind of like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's a shame that this dark-skinned black woman lost her opportunity because they deserve opportunity as well.
Yeah, and they are overlooked in casting. It's a problem.
100%. Yeah, of course.
I'm calling it a problem.
That's the only thing. That's the only way you should call it. It is a problem.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem. They cast Harriet Tubman as a fucking light-skinned black woman.
That bullshit with Zoe.
That's ridiculous.
That bullshit with Zoe Saldana playing Nina Simone in the most recent biopic about her. Like that's a problem. Yeah. Nina Simone is a dark-skinned black woman with like traditional African features. And that's
a defining trait of hers.
Yes, and they cast a lighter-skinned black woman as her.
That's nonsense.
That's a problem, and it shouldn't happen. Well, it's fucking bullshit. And Zoe Saldana should have known better because she got called out for it and she fucking defended it, and that's problematic. And I'm not for that shit. But Zoe Saldana is a black woman. And you call her a black woman in every other instance except for when she's playing a darker skinned black woman. Mm-hmm. Don't take away her blackness just because you're mad at her. Okay. Call it out.
For sure.
It's very valid to call it out. And it's a problem in Hollywood.
A huge problem.
Do not denounce her blackness just because you're mad at her. Don't take that shit out. That's like when you're mad at Caitlyn Jenner, so you dead name her. Sorry, no, it's not like that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't equate it because gender and race are two totally different things. I acknowledge that that's a problem and I apologize.
Your point is that it's a rude thing to do.
Do not denounce somebody's blackness just because you're mad at them.
Yeah.
You don't get to take that away from them. You don't get to. That's not your call to make. And it's inappropriate, and it's not okay.
It does, but
talk about the issue without taking away somebody's blackness.
Well, that's just
so
it.
Wrong.
It's such a nuanced conversation, like you put it, where it's like, on one hand, Zoe Saldana definitely should not be playing Nina Simone, like definitely not.
No.
At the same time, at least they cast a black woman to play Nina Simone. You know, they could have got like Zoe Deschanel to be Nina Simone.
Did you hear that shit about the Tubman casting? Like way back.
They wanted to get like Jennifer Gardner or something.
They wanted to get Julia Roberts.
Roberts.
Some executive genuinely thought that he could get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman and that no one would say anything and that it would be okay.
The fuck is wrong with you? Like seriously, like some of these executives really must live on a different planet.
Honestly,
like I really like that actually reminds me not to you know, I don't want to derail. We're having a good conversation, but yeah, it's a problem in Hollywood. You know,
yeah, but just like when you're mad at the lightening of, you know, dark-skinned characters in Black stories, don't take away their blackness just because you're mad at them.
Yeah.
Call it out. Call colorism for what it is and shadeism for what it is.
Have a conversation about it.
Don't take away somebody's blackness in the process. That's not cool.
Zoe Saldana isn't less of a black woman for being a light-skinned black woman.
No.
You know, because that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
She certainly faces... Well, maybe not all of the same scrutiny that a dark-skinned black woman might face.
No, and that's part of the colorism conversation.
But to say she faces none of that is just as inaccurate.
Or to just not call her a black woman.
That's ridiculous.
It's just it's a ridiculous
true. Notion.
It's not true. Mm-hmm. So that's just a language thing that I at first I thought, oh well, you know, like I don't want to get called out as not black for saying it, but like I'm calling it out and I'm still black.
There you go.
Sorry if you're mad about it, but it's a fact of life.
Yeah, man.
So
blackness isn't, at least in my opinion, obviously I don't have much of a credence in this conversation, but it's certainly not something you can measure by numbers or like experiences.
No.
You are who you are.
You can't quantify it in any scientific way. It's
exactly.
Just the thing of the thing. Unless you're Rachel Dolezal, in which case you're not black, ma'am. You're not black, ma'am.
Her whole thing is that she's like trans black, right?
Transracial.
Transracial.
Fucking idiot.
That is the most insane thing that I've ever heard.
Fucking dumbass.
It's funny because her parents outed her.
I've met biracial people who like back her up too. And
no
I'm like,
way.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I shit you not.
What? Like, come on.
I was looking for biracial camaraderie because I you know, like in my journey, there have been times where I've just like snapped and been like, I need community. So like I reach out to the first biracial person I can find, and I've met some like busted ass biracial people before.
Wow.
Who are like, I'm just like, wow, you know what? I kind of get why black people don't like us.
Hey man,
I like as much as
there's
as
all
much
kinds.
as it's not cool that people, you know, undercut me. I can see why maybe you've done it in the past.
Hey man,
because holy shit, like, do some of you ever just like not know what the fuck you're saying,
buddy?
And biracial people, I mean,
that
like,
is
holy
like,
shit.
That's how as a white person, that's how I feel about white people.
Yeah.
When people call white people trash, I never get offended.
Or like
because white people are trash, man.
when there's a song on The Gift by Beyonce called Brown Skin Girl, and it's purposely celebrating dark skinned black girls and women.
Women, yeah, sure.
And then a mixed girl parodied it with a song called Light Skin Girl, talking about like, don't worry, like regardless of what the people say, like you're still beautiful. And everybody was like, of course you're beautiful. Every fucking body thinks that you're beautiful. It's the dark-skinned black women who never get songs like this. Shut the fuck up. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, shut up. Like I couldn't even get through the whole song because I was like, shut up. This is why they hate us. Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, shut up. Please stop.
Oh my God.
Please shut up. Please. Fuck. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Shut up, please. Like,
you know what I just realized, Sam? That
I'm trying to get them to like me and you're not helping because now everybody sees me and they think light skinned girl, and it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's where mixed people and white people connect, where it's like white people who know what's up will be like, yeah, white people are trash, obviously, look how objectively trash white people are. And then you're like, there are some mixed people who are just like, come on.
Come the fuck on, man. I'm doing all of this work to try and be like, no, like colorism is real, but I'm still black and I don't want to invalidate your blackness or stick you further into, you know, anti-black racism and hatred just to assert my own blackness. I don't want to put you down in an effort to lift myself up. I simply want to be on the same plane as, like, we're all black people. And yes, we experience different experiences based on like the shade of black that we are, and that's a problem, but I'm still black. And
there are some egg-ass people out there.
And then the light-skinned girl comes up behind me like, light-skinned girl, and I'm like, not you! Shut up! Go away!
Yeah.
Get back in your cage.
Whoa.
Get back there.
Sam, Jesus.
Sit down. I'm trying to talk.
Right.
I'm doing this for us. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up! Totally.
Sit down. Sit down.
Oh, dear God.
So, yeah, it's just...
It's a whole thing, man. It's a whole ass thing.
5 steps forward, 6 steps back. Holy shit.
Hey, man, you know what?
But
That's still progress.
In me, I just want to say, and like part of that's why I kind of want to write this show is just like I want to assert my blackness while also acknowledging my privilege as a light-skinned black person, and just be like, yeah, no, like, yeah, my issues are not like the dark-skinned black girls are being mean to me. it's all within me and my issues, you know, like it's not whatever dark-skinned black girls are dealing with is valid and real.
100%.
And I'm over here with my problems. All I can do is talk about me and myself. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay in my lane.
That's
I
all you
didn't mean
can
to
do.
make the entire episode about me, by the way.
Oh, no, it's just the way it happened.
I saw that we're at the hour mark, and it's literally been about me and my identity.
I think I've maybe said 5 minutes of things
the
collectively.
entire time. That's how it should be.
Wow. Well, no. I mean, obviously, I'm not. Why would I be offended? You've been saying you've been saying lots of interesting and enlightening things, and these experiences are your own. And frankly, I can't relate to you being a mixed person, obviously. So I just need to listen.
Thank you.
That's the way it is.
Thank you.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts. That's right. There's no more Google Play. It's Google Podcasts now.
Google Podcasts now.
As well as Podbean and YouTube. Be sure to give us a like on your preferred platform, and we'll be back.
A review if you're so inclined.
A review would be great on Apple Podcasts. It helps
Unless
quite a
it's a
bit.
1-star review, in which case just put it away.
If you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
We have 1 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I checked.
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure it's your mom.
Hey, you know, at least my mom gives it a 5-star review. Could you imagine if my mom
like
didn't?
3.5.
Even my mom doesn't like my podcast. Could you imagine how much more of a loser I would be if my mom didn't like my podcast?
Pretty mediocre.
That's what I tell myself. You know,
Yeah, we're like a 3.5 star.
My daughter doesn't have a job and likes a podcast all day long. She's not even good at it. Fuck. You know, like at least there's that. So.
But yes, folks, please follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/chillspot. Follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube, and be sure to hit that notification button.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next Tuesday, guys.
I hope every other not mixed person finds something from this.
I hope. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there who enjoyed
people.
this conversation for sure.
Yeah. And go, you know what you can leave a 1-star review on is that light-skinned girl music video. Go tell her how wrong she is.
You know what's funny? Last thing before we end the podcast is that Light Skin Girl is a Leon Bridges song. That's like
brown skin girl.
Is it not Light Skin Girl?
It's called Brown Skin Girl.
I thought it was called. Okay, well I stand corrected.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Could you imagine how fucking mad people would be if it was called Light Skin Girl?
Light Skin. I straight up thought that's what it was called.
Light Skin Girl on the other side of the room.
It is Brown Skin
Ruby-lipped
Girl.
lady whose name I don't know, and he's talking about how beautiful she is, and it's called Light Skin Girl. Oof.
On the other side of the room.
Oof, that would be some bullshit.
That's a great song, though.
Oh, beautiful.
Such a good song. I love Leon Bridges.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.